Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 435, I think. With me today, my name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. No complaints. No complaints on this end. This week on the show, we'll be covering Slamdance 2022. So we've got a bunch of movies that we're going to be talking about that were screening online at Slamdance this year. And that's going to be the bulk of the show. No watch list because I think we got a bunch of Slamdancers to go over. And then we'll be going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be extremely helpful. Where do you want to start? Slamdance 2022. It was online. I think it's still happening, actually, as of this recording.
Yes.
I don't know when it ends.
I think it ends the 7th, I want to say. I feel like it's the 7th.
Okay, so probably by the time you're listening to this, it'll be over. Now, they are doing this, like, Slamdance channel thing, too, where it's like their own streaming service. Mm-hmm. So if you're subscribed to that, I don't know if like it'll be available longer if you're a member of that. But that's like $7 a month or something.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like a catalog of like past entries in the festival and stuff. So that's kind of cool. So where do you want to start? We saw a bunch of stuff. I think that there's a significant amount of overlap in the movies that we saw.
Yeah, I think you start. You pick one. I'll pick one. If we both watched it, we'll have a discussion. If not, tell me about it, or I'll tell you about it.
All right. Well, I'll just go in order of the ones that I saw then. Which the first one was The Civil Dead by Clay Tatum.
Also, the first one that I watched.
Yeah, I don't know. This was like one that sort of interested me the most, just because it seemed. Now, I think a lot of the titles at Slamdance this year did seem interesting, but this one, I don't know, it just kind of stuck out to me. This it stars Clay Tatum and Whitmer Thomas, and they kind of play versions of themselves in a way. Mm-hmm. And you have the premise of this. I'll read the synopsis. A misanthropic, struggling photographer just wants to watch TV and eat candy while his wife is out of town. But when a desperate old pal resurfaces, his plans are thwarted with spooky consequences. So what you have here is Whitmer Thomas. Is it a spoiler? Like to say?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. He's a ghost. So he's a friend. And it turns out that he died and is now a ghost, and his friend Clay is the only person who can see him.
Yes.
And it turns out that Whitmer Thomas he's a little needy. He's a little clingy.
Yeah,
and
given the circumstances.
Yeah, it's
kind of understandable.
It's confusing, it's scary, it's lonely. You know, he's just kind of wandering. He doesn't know what's going on. And so he sort of attaches himself to his buddy Clay, and, you know, it's dark comedy ensues. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this. I thought that this was quite good. I had a really good time with this one.
Yes, I found this to be pretty damn funny. Lots of good jokes in there. And I just like the mechanics of this. It's like really small scale. It's not like there's a ton of like special effects or anything, except for that one guy getting sucked off in the alley. But everything is just, I love the mechanics of how they kind of work this all out, which is he can't really touch anything or do anything. Like he says, everything weighs like 1,000 pounds. So it's not like he can do, the pick stuff up and like spook people. He just kind of walks around. He can't open doors, so you have to, keep the door open for him to be able to, move in and out of places, which leads to, some fucked up decisions on Clay's part, which is the thing that surprised me the most, is the way where this movie was going towards the end. I had a feeling
So
that it
did
was going to
I.
end a certain way, but I was just like, I don't know. To me, that was just like one of the most fucked up things I've seen.
Yeah, it's super fucked up. Anytime something like that happens in a movie, especially when you're dealing with someone who presumably is going to live for eternity, you know?
Yeah. Just, I mean, and I wasn't expecting that. For the majority of this movie, I was just like, man, this is a fun little ghost story. I love how they're kind of riffing on Casper the Friendly Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just having fun with the comedy. Great, a lot of great sight gags and stuff. Uh, and then where it ends up in that final act, it's just I don't like it. It got me. It's just like, one of the most emotionally fucked up things I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. And of course they allude to it at the opening scene.
Yes.
Which I liked. I like how they did that. But yeah, it's pretty dark. I like that there was a joke about Joe Rogan in there. They made fun of Joe Rogan, which I thought was pretty funny.
There's a lot of good stuff in there. Him karate chopping all over the place. Mr. Blueberry, the 5G.
It is kind of an interesting dynamic where you have a ghost and like a lot of times with ghosts they're sort of they can just kind of go wherever, because they have no mass, so they can just like go through walls or whatever. But in this instance, he's just trapped in whatever, if he's in a room and the door's closed, like he's not leaving that room.
He's there.
Or a car or wherever.
Yeah, that's what I liked about this is, they kind of came up with their own mechanics to it, the logistics of this, which kept it interesting and fresh to me. And then the comedy just worked like gangbusters for me.
The dynamic between Clay and Whitmer Thomas, or Whit as he's called in this movie, I think is really good. They have a really good dynamic.
It's a joy to watch. I had so much fun with this.
Yeah.
And then, again, it kind of got me with that gut punch at the end, which I wasn't necessarily ready for, which turned it into something more for me. Because if you didn't have that at the end, I would just be like, oh, this is a nice small scale, indie comedy. Good stuff. You don't get a lot of these.
Yeah, at first you get like some maybe some like what about Bob type of feelings where you have this kind of guy who latches himself on to this other person. He can't really get rid of him. Maybe even some Cable Guy vibes. You have like the kind of darker comedy of
because you had that added caveat of no one else can see him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like he's there bothering you. It's he's there bothering you, and if people see you interacting with him,
you're the crazy one.
They're gonna think you're crazy and your life's ruined.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of playing with the dynamics of, okay, I need to communicate with this person, but I need to do so in a way where like no one else can see me communicating with this person. So you have to like get them into the car and do it like that. So I think that's kind of a fun dynamic as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I definitely recommend this one whenever this drops. I'm sure that this is going to get picked up by somebody.
To.
Yeah, this will definitely get picked up and released. This feels like a gravitas, maybe a gravitas release or something.
Yeah, because if you think about this in terms of like the last, several years, to me, now I haven't seen a ton of them, but I also don't know if a ton of them exist. But it has to be like one of the better indie comedies that's come out in the last several years.
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. Yeah, keep an eye out for The Civil Dead, and if it's still available on Slamdance, I would highly recommend it.
Well, and that's the crazy thing to me for Slamdance, which just as a festival when it's when they're doing the online, that is insane to me. Like seeing The Civil Dead to me is worth $10 alone.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't cover Sundance this year, but I did buy some individual tickets for movies that I wanted to see online, and they were $20 a piece, and they were not. I didn't enjoy them as much as The Civil Dead, either of them. So,
Well, and also the crazy thing is, the way Sundance is set up is you buy the ticket and you have a time that,
you have a
watching
3-hour window. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, you're paying $10 and you just have at it.
Yeah.
Watch whatever you want to watch whenever.
It's a way better system. Way better.
It's insane. It's insane. That's what I mean. Like $10 for The Civil Dead, and then you have access to how many other movies?
Yeah, like 100.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. They definitely did it the right way.
Plus, you got Robert Longstreet in there. Good stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, Longstreet, yeah. He's always a bonus in anything.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that's The Civil Dead. What do you got next on your list?
The next one that I have is Yelling Fire in an Empty Theater by Justin Zuckerman.
I saw this one as well.
I figured you probably would, with it being a New York story. This is the story of your life, Adam. Just about, right?
Yeah.
Moving from Florida to New York City,
It's
the Big Apple.
Exactly what I did, yeah.
And you wanted all your dreams to come true.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, like for me, things worked out a little bit better than the lead in this movie.
I think it helps with being older and more established.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't... I mean, it was interestingly, when I did move to New York, I was only living there for, like, maybe a month before I got laid off from my job. So it was a little bit stressful when I first moved there. Because my wife moved... She didn't have a job either when we first got there. So, yeah, it was a little stressful at the beginning. But,
I forgot that happened.
Yeah, but it worked out.
Which is kind of, what happens here with Isadora Oliva is she moves from Florida to New York City, and she has all these hopes and dreams. She's so excited about this. And when she gets there, it seems kind of set up like things are going to work out. She has kind of a bumpy start where she's moving in with these roommates, but
she has her boyfriend there.
Yeah, and there's plans that when his lease is up, they're going to find a place, all that stuff. And then, of course, none of the stuff works out, really. But this is another one that I pretty much enjoyed. It has the interesting aspect of it is it's shot in mini DV.
Which I liked a lot, actually.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, it looks really...
rough.
I don't want to... Yeah, it looks rough, but it's a good movie. You know what I mean? Like, it just looks rough, but I think that adds to its charm.
I agree. I like that they made the decision to shoot it on mini DV. I don't know if it was a budget thing or if it was a creative, like a deliberate creative decision to shoot it on mini DV. But for me, it worked. It felt very, very much like one of these kind of 90s New York indie films. That just was just sort of exploding back then. It just had that kind of indie zine vibe to it to me, and I really enjoyed that. I liked this movie overall as well. I liked the main character. I was rooting for her the entire time, and I definitely it definitely feels like that kind of New York situation. Like I've been in situations like that, and yeah, it definitely hits close to home for me.
And I enjoyed the atmosphere of this overall, like just the overall tone of it. It was just a good time. I enjoyed much of the comedy in it.
It's funny. I think, I mean, just it starts out strong with her meeting the roommate and just the the paint thing and just like all of just the crazy just the crazy situation that she finds herself in like immediately.
Yes, quickly establishing that things aren't what she thought they were going to be.
Yeah, and like the first time that we meet the boyfriend, I was like, this guy's a loser. This guy is an a-hole.
This fucking guy.
It was like immediate. Like the second that we met him, I'm like, oh, he's a fuck ass.
Yeah, this is not good. Things aren't going to go her way.
No,
and they don't, and they compound, and they continuously don't go her way. And this is another movie that had a surprising aspect at the end that I did not see coming at all.
Well, yeah, this one really throws you for a loop at the end. You're just like, whoa, what? Yeah, this one has a pretty crazy ending. I mean, thankfully, nothing like that ever even came close to happening to me in New York. So, very thankful for that. But
there's just a lot of small stuff, a lot of small moments of comedy in here that I keep, like, for whatever reason, that when she gets that temp job at the travel, whatever the fuck you do, it's not even a real place.
No, like I don't even think, like, what was that? Like, what was that room that they were in? Like, that looked like it was just a room in like a random apartment building or something.
Yeah, they just rented out a closet. But I love when they finally get a phone call and it's like, this job is so easy.
Yeah.
Of course, she's obsessed with doing New York stuff.
Oh, yeah. Going to Times Square and all of that. Yeah.
So I definitely recommend.
I also recommend this one. I don't think that this one will have the same kind of mainstream appeal as The Civil Dead. And to be clear, I don't think The Civil Dead has much mainstream appeal in and of itself, but I think that this one is definitely more for the kind of indie movie crowd, just because of how it's shot and the tone and all of that stuff. But I think that it definitely has an audience.
Oh yeah,
and I really enjoyed it, and I can easily recommend it. It feels like, a lot of these movies, when you watch them, and we've covered Slamdance for many years now, and when you see it, a Slamdance movie, you can kind of tell. You're like, okay, yeah, this definitely feels like a Slamdance movie.
Yeah, no, you know exactly what you're gonna find with Slamdance, and I gotta say they do a really good job of getting those movies that are like the cream of the crop,
right? Because there's so many. Like, there's just so many, and the programming in this festival, it's like they know exactly what they want, and they're able to find it. Because of the movies from this year, like, they all have that kind of similar tone, and it's just they do such a good job of curating this festival. And I'll be the first to say, like, there have been some years where I thought that Slamdance was falling off a bit. Like, there were some years where I didn't like anything that they had that I saw, but recently I feel like that they've been sort of turning it around and coming back. And I don't know looking at it overall, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't know if this year is as strong as last year, but I still think that there were some really good highlights. One of them being Hannah Ha Ha.
Oh yeah,
which this ended up being my favorite of the festival. This was my top pick of the festival.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. So this is directed by Jordan Tatuski and Joshua Pikovsky, and it involves a young woman who is turning 26, so she's about to get kicked off of her dad's health insurance, and she decides that she's gonna try to get a real job. So she previously did sort of odd jobs here and there. She taught guitar lessons, she worked on a farm, she just did things here and there to make money, and she lived a happy life, and she had, a good circle of friends, and she had a good relationship with her dad and her brother. And this all kind of gets disrupted when she decides that, okay, I need to try to find a real job that's gonna, afford me health insurance and maybe like a retirement plan or something. Time to get serious as an adult.
Yes.
And I loved this movie. I do have one major criticism with it, and that is I actually didn't like how this movie looked. It is shot on 75 millimeter, which is very interesting. Like, that in and of itself, I think, is really not typical. I mean, that's like IMAX film stock, which is very interesting for a movie like this. What I didn't like about it was the fact that it felt like there was Vaseline over the lens the entire time.
Yeah, everything's kind of
everything's blurry.
I don't know if they were going for like a summer look, because this is like the summer. So I don't know if they were kind of going for like a hazy,
yeah,
foggy type thing. I'm not sure. Like, and I kind of agree with you. There was moments where I liked it, but then there was moments where it seemed like they wanted a touch just a bit too far.
It was just
a bit too much out of focus.
It's the only criticism I have with this movie. I just didn't like the blurriness of it. Like, I have really poor eyesight, so I think it was just really triggering for me more than anything. Like, I'm watching it and I'm just like, oh God, this is how I see without glasses or contacts. Like, please make it stop.
It kind of like fucks with you.
Yeah.
While you're watching it, because you're like, are my eyes fucked up?
Well, I thought at first, maybe it was the stream. Like, I was like, oh, is the stream messed up? Is it lowering the quality? Is something weird with the transfer? And then as the film went on, I realized, like, oh no, it's supposed to be like that. Which, again, it's not a huge deal. Like, I think it's more than a nitpick for me, but it's a very light criticism. Like, it didn't detract too much from the movie. As I said, ended up being my favorite movie of the festival. So
yeah,
I just for whatever reason, I just wasn't super into the blurriness of it. And yeah, I agree with you that in some scenes it did work. Like some of the outdoor scenes and stuff. I thought that it looked fine, and I think that it did convey that summertime vibe. But yeah, overall, didn't work for me. However, the film as a whole, I thought, was fantastic, and I loved it.
Yeah, actually, I love the mood of this.
Yeah, this is one of these movies that is very light on plot, which I like. It just follows Hannah, this character Hannah, played by Hannah Lee Thompson, just follows her around trying to get a job, meeting up with her friends, doing her odd jobs, and it's just, a slice of life type of thing. It feels very docudrama-esque, where it has kind of a very realistic tone to it. I thought that Hannah Lee Thompson was a delight in this. I think she did a really incredible job. And I highly recommend this. Certainly, I understand that this wouldn't be one for everyone, just because it is pretty light on conflict, and maybe people have issues with that. But for me, it was one of the draws.
Yeah, and I enjoy a nice little slice of life type deal, especially when it has this kind of mood to it, this kind of atmosphere where it's just, very nice, It's like a tenderness to it.
Yeah, everybody was likable. The relationships that everybody had with each other were good and felt very realistic. I mean, like there was conflict there. Like I feel like the stuff with the brother, like the brother was such a I mean they establish him as being this kind of maybe a little bit of a douche.
Yeah, he's a guy that's like super into tech startups.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy that would wear the Patagonia power vest. Like he'd be into that. I love when we first meet him, he's coming over to stay for it seems like a very short amount of time, like maybe a weekend or something. And he brings his standing desk with him and his external monitor, and he has this whole like work set up in the kitchen, and you're just like, come on, dude.
Which I gotta say, I've never seen a standing desk in action. So when I first saw that, when he's in the sitting position with his monitor and everything, and he goes to the standing position, I was very confused. And I also thought it was perhaps the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Now I'm using a standing desk right now. However, it's not that one. Like my whole desk is raises.
Are you standing right now? Do you stand?
Yeah.
When we record?
Well,
really?
not all the time, but right now, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm in front of a computer all day. So it got to the point where I was just like, I'm sitting too much. Like I'm sitting like, I don't know, 10 or more hours a day. And it was way too much. So I got a standing desk, and now I stand almost all day. It just feels better.
Well, the standing's not an issue to me. I think it was just seeing the transition.
The raising of the, yeah.
Yeah, seeing that in action, I've never seen that before in my life. And it was just very funny to me.
So just to put a picture in listeners' heads, it's one of those ones that's like it is a portable standing desk. So it sits on top of a table or a regular desk, and it's one of those black ones that has like the lever at the bottom, and you can lift the whole thing up. We actually have those in our office, and yeah, they're whatever.
But get it back to the movie. I really enjoy it. Like, although there's not really a plot to this, and there's not a ton of conflict going on, I did like what they were going for in the overall messaging. Was that she had all these small jobs, but there was a real sense of community there, where she's helping out people that she knows. She has great relationships with them and everything, and then her brother kind of pushes her towards getting legit employment, so to speak. And like all that kind of like falls away and kind of deteriorates because she's so busy with this air quote legit employment, which of course a lot of those places don't, when she's doing the interview where it's like, we don't have to give you health insurance, but they do, which is pretty cool on their part. It's
right.
Like, a lot of these places are going to fuck you over more so than working your odd jobs. Even with a legit thing, she's probably still going to have to go on GoFundMe for medical stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's awful. And I think that it is a really good statement on the, how employment is in this.
Yeah.
In this country. And I'm wondering like if that's changing, if that's in the process of changing at all because of COVID and the dearth of service employees, service workers.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Right now, because I feel like a lot of these like restaurants, like anything that's involving like the service sector, like they need people. Like they have no people, so I feel like it's should force them to raise wages and provide a living wage to their employees. But I don't know. I'd be curious to see like what the data is on that in a couple years.
Yeah, but yeah, I was kind of surprised that again, this had another emotional gut punch, which was surprising that I got, like, it affected me that the creamery shut down. I've never even been there. I just learned about it
Well,
in this movie, and then when they go and it's shut down, I'm just like, no, not the place where these guys get their ice cream.
well, the thing is, like, that's a scenario that does kind of hit home for you and I, because we grew up in an area that did have like uh locally famous, like, small mom and pop type of places that were shut down, like Zimmy's.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
upset when Zimmy's shut down.
Oh, there's nothing worse than when the mom and pop place is shut down.
And we've had ice cream places shut down where we're from.
Who the fuck wants Cold Stone Creamery? You don't
Well,
want that shit. Get the fuck out of
yeah.
here.
I am a staunch opponent of Cold Stone Creamery. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's
And
fucked up.
I lose respect for anyone who likes Cold Stone Creamery.
I got my ice cream's the Masonic Village. We have a huge Masonic Village here.
Oh yeah?
Massive, massive campus for the Masons. For they retire. They got it, man. They got farms, all sorts of shit. It's
Huh.
insane.
Interesting.
Got a whole school here. They own like half the fucking town. But man, they got good ice cream. Fucking give it to them.
One thing about where we grew up in Pennsylvania, great ice
Oh, we
cream.
got ice cream. We got, dude, when it comes to snacks here, between potato chips, we got like 25 different potato chip companies
Yeah, that's
in
true.
this fucking county. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Pretzels, ice cream. Oh my goodness. If you want snacks, this is the place to live.
Oh yeah. Central Pennsylvania, baby. Snack capital of the world.
Hell yeah. Definitely the potato chip capital. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And probably pretzels too.
All the
There's a lot
biggies.
of pretzel company.
Yeah, like Snyder's.
You got Snyder's, you got Hammond's.
Oh yeah.
You got also, oh, now I'm hungry.
I know. God damn it. Anyway, Hannah Haha, absolutely keep an eye out for this one. I think that it is excellent and well worth a look. And I think that this actually did win.
Yeah,
It won a grand jury prize, I think.
I think so.
So, yeah, definitely, definitely check it out. Civil. I think the Civil Dead also won. That
I think
won
that
the
won it.
audience award, I believe.
Yes, correct. This one also won something, but I can't remember what it was. And that was Therapy Dogs by Ethan Eng.
Yeah,
Was the
that
other
one. Yeah, that did win. Shoot, what was that? The director won. He won like a
Okay.
grant. He ended up getting like a $25,000 grant.
Damn. Congrats, Ethan, on your 25K. This is, I mean, that's pretty good for,
I think he's a,
coming out of high
yeah.
school.
I was gonna say I think he's like a high schooler, just graduated.
Give me a break. That's big time. So that's what Therapy Dogs is. It's them, like, they kind of set it up at the beginning where they're kind of making this like senior video and under the guise of, working for the yearbook. But what the people at the school don't know is that they're just making a movie.
Yeah, they're making a movie. They're
They're
telling
doing their
everybody
own
that it's
thing,
for the yearbook, but it's not. It's their own version.
which is going to end up playing at Slamdance,
Yeah.
which I'm sure they probably weren't thinking of when they were making it.
No, definitely not. I really doubt that they thought it would probably leave the confines of their little town.
Yeah, especially as Canadian filmmakers
Yep.
playing in a festival in America. And I like the way that this is, the setup of this, how they, and then them getting on top of the school and doing the ridiculous dancing with the music and the fireworks going off and the text overlay. And it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna dig this. And for the most part, I did dig this. The only thing for me is I feel like I've grown out of the targeted audience range for this type of movie, perhaps. I don't know. It's
I
just so high school centric,
Oh yeah,
which
big
makes
time.
complete sense. I mean, they're
Of
doing a
course.
senior video, they're high school students, of course. But I'm just not interested in anything to do with or around high school.
You know, I was thinking about this when I was watching this movie, and while at first I was like kind of feeling the same way as you, where I'm like, I think that I'm just too old for this. Like, but then I was thinking about like all the other kind of high school movies that I still like. A good example, I think, would be The Dirties, which is directed by Matt Johnson. He actually was like an executive producer on this movie, and then like all of the other kind of high school centric movies that or even shows that I still watch. Now, granted, like some of those are like South Korean crazy horror shows on Netflix, but I think that maybe rather than me just feeling too disconnected from being in high school, I think that it was more so that it was very specific to this high school, and a lot of it to me felt like just home video of you know, these kids in this very specific time and place.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's part of the disconnect. It's not so much that it's been so many years since we were actually in high school. It's more like, imagine if this was a documentary about like Dallastown High School and it was our friends in this. I think that it would feel different for us. So I think that part of it is just the fact that the kids who go to this school are going to get way more out of this than, you know, some random, you know, nearly 40-year-olds.
Yeah, and I think even just the locality of it, if you went to high school in and around this area,
Yeah.
maybe, you know,
Now,
they would make more sense. Like if this was not to say Dallastown area high school, but just a high school somewhere within the confines of York County or one of the surrounding counties, there would be more of an interest on our part.
Now, I do think that there are some universal themes that you can take away from this, and especially because, you know, this takes place in a suburban town where I think regardless of whether you're in Canada or the US or wherever, a lot of these suburban towns just look and feel the exact same. And, you know, when you watch this, even though it's like, you know, more than a decade since we've been in high school, like I'm still feeling like, okay, well, yeah, things are pretty much still the same. Like not a whole lot's changed.
Yeah, I think this movie definitely has its moments, and I think that's the thing, is it's so kind of chaotic and just kind of like cut and paste together of random moments throughout the year. So obviously, inherently, it's going to be that. It's going to be a mixed bag.
Yeah. Now,
I think they do capture some really great moments, and I think it really works in the sense of these guys are just kind of aimless, where they don't really have. You know, they don't have like scholarships lined up, that kind of thing. Because even when they're talking to that one guy that they spend some time with, the Kevin, when they're talking to him like later on, and he was like, "Yeah, I kind of want to go to LA, but like I don't really know anyone. I don't have any connections."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that it's more interesting to follow kids that do feel that aimlessness. And I think that the movie does a good job of reflecting that, where these are kids who, and you know, I was the same way. I think you were probably the same way too, where we weren't thinking about our 5-year plan or anything like that. That wasn't, you know, we were thinking like days in advance, like if that. We were very short-term people.
I was essentially that kid in the beginning of this movie where they're like, "What do you have to say?" And he's just like, "Goodbye. That's it." It's like, I just wanted school to be over with. I just wanted to work. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I want a paycheck. That's it. Like, I don't want to go to school. Just let me clean other schools, and I'm fine.
Yeah, and so I think that that there were several things that resonated with me in this, and I could see myself in some of these kids, and but I do agree that I think that some of the sequences were a little bit too long. I think that some of them were kind of boring. Uh, but I did like the overall vibe of this, and I like the kind of experimental nature of it. This is it's sort of a hybrid. It's mostly a documentary, but I think that some aspects of it are kind of fictional, and I kind of like that. I like that it definitely blurs those lines between narrative and documentary.
Well, yeah, and I think that again comes back to it's inherently a mixed bag because they're kind of trying everything.
Yeah, they're just throwing it all in there. It is a very chaotic movie, and I think that that fits very well within the personalities of the main subjects. But as a result, some of it just doesn't really work great. Like the prom scene was too long and kind of dull, and then there's other scenes like the water tower scene was great.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really compelling debut. To think that this is a movie that high schoolers made is incredibly impressive, because I think about the dumb shit that I was making in high school, and it's like not even on the same level. So
Yeah.
I think in that regard, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely an admirable movie. They do, like I said, it has its moments, and again, it's going to be kind of a mixed bag for
Hmm.
audiences.
I enjoyed it overall. Yeah. The next one that I saw was uh, Killing the Inuk Khan. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. I don't think you saw this one, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. This one did win. This one won an award as well. I don't recall which one. This was not in competition. It was like some sort of like breakthrough category or something like that. It's directed by Abed Abest. It is an Iranian film, and the thing about this is that it is insanely like visually striking. This movie is on a complete other level when it comes to cinematography. I mean, it is absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous, like mind-blowing visuals in this movie. It looks so freaking good. However, the overall narrative, I think, is it's just a little bit too obtuse, and I had a hard time remaining engaged because so much it's so slow. While the visuals are incredible, there needs to be something to support them, and there's so many like lingering camera shots where there's like almost no movement on the screen, there's no dialogue, and it just goes on and on and on, and you're just like, come on, what's happening here? So for me, this was like it was just a real mixed bag. Like I wanted to like it because the visuals are just so incredible, and I almost want to recommend it just for that alone, but at the same time it's like hopefully they'll make a trailer for this and you could just like kind of watch the trailer, or maybe if you watch it at home and like watch it on double speed or something. I know that's horrible and like sacrilegious, but it's just I just couldn't get into it, man. Like it was just too much. I like that this is sort of a statement on conflict and war and all of that, and it's very specifically looking at the Iran-Iraq conflict, but I'm not connected to that in any way. I don't know a whole lot about it. And so watching this, it's like I can appreciate when like there's a scene when this guy's two daughters get killed after a bomb gets dropped like onto their house basically. And there's like, so there's certain sort of universal themes that I can get behind and I can understand. But even those, like, you watch a guy dig a hole for like 5 minutes, like no exaggeration. He just real time digging a hole. And then you spend another 5 minutes of him filling in the hole, like covering it back up. It's just too much for me. Like, I just don't have the attention span for it. I get really impatient with movies like this, despite them being absolutely beautiful.
The only thing, the other things that I have is I watched a bunch of the shorts. I'll just highlight some of them. The first one to highlight is In the Jam Jar by Colin Nixon. This is presented in like a circular aperture type deal.
Haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It works really well. I like the look of it overall. The first half of this is an 81-year-old mother by the name of Joan, kind of recounting her final days, musing about her life, her son, this and that. She's in the process of dying, and it's just kind of like her doing voiceover and just kind of like a company slice of life, like little snippets here and there, kind of, like a visual poem type deal. And it works really, really well. And then, like at the halfway point, switches over. After she passes away, it switches over, and it is now her son, her 50-year-old son, Dan, kind of doing the same thing in the second half. Is him kind of musing about her passing and his life with her and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's got like nice little moments of comedy. It's packs an emotional wallop, I thought, and just overall, just really solid stuff.
Cool. And that's In the Jam Jar. I saw Straighten Up and Fly Right. This is directed by Steven Tenenbaum. And this one, it involves a young woman living in New York City. She has a rare form of arthritis that like causes her to be completely hunched over. And so it just kind of follows her life and the struggle, just the everyday struggles that she has, from getting dressed, taking a shower. She's a dog walker, so that plays a huge part in the movie. And like just her doing her job and how her disability affects her ability to do the job. And then like, the interaction she has with some of her clients, and she ends up meeting this guy who also has the same affliction, and they sort of become friends, and he kind of helps her just be a happier person. And it's really good. I can definitely recommend this one. When I first moved to New York, I did become a dog walker, so I do have experience with that, and I think that they do a good job of properly conveying the New York dog walker lifestyle. And it's funny, it's heartfelt. I can definitely recommend it. Kristen Abate is really good in the lead. Steven Tenenbaum actually plays the friend who also has the arthritis, and that he has that in real life. Okay. So there's definitely some, it's definitely drawing from real life experiences, I would imagine. So it's good. I would definitely recommend it. Straighten Up and Fly Right. This is one that I think will definitely have more mainstream appeal, and I think that it will easily get picked up by somebody.
Yeah. This one does not have mainstream appeal, mostly because it's a short, but also because of what it is as a short. But god damn it, it was funny as hell. It's so goddamn entertaining. It's called We Are Such Stuff as Dreams Are Made On by Sam Crane. This is just a short, like 7-8 minute doc. This is just a British guy, Sam Crane, the director, attempting to do Shakespeare inside the confines of Grand Theft Auto.
I read about this.
So I had to check this out. And first is him trying to do it on the beach. and he keeps getting exploded. The people keep shooting rocket launchers at him while he's trying to do Shakespeare. So he ends up enlisting another friend of his, and they do it at like an amphitheater inside of Grand Theft Auto. And a guy shows up, and he's like, you sit out in the crowd. So he's sitting out in the crowd. Another guy shows up. He's like, wow, we actually have two people here to watch. So they start doing, I can't remember, I think they do Hamlet. And of course, the other guy starts shooting the other guy, and then the cops show up, and the cops are shooting, but they're still trying to do it like on the stage while everyone else is trying to kill each other. Helicopters coming in and stuff. It's just funny. It was just a hoot.
Yeah, I'm ridiculous. I'm gonna give this a look today. This is definitely one that I need to. As someone who used to play GTA Online a lot, I definitely need to.
He's trying so hard, but he reacts to it being killed, and just the way he reacts because he's so calm. It was wonderful.
Another one that I could give maybe a light recommend to, but I'm still kind of processing it actually, is Retrograde. I just watched I watched this morning. This is a Canadian comedy about a young woman who she gets a minor traffic citation. So she's merging onto the highway and she cuts off a cop, and the cop pulls her over, gives her a ticket. And she feels like the cop waved her on. The cop was not letting her over. So like when she was trying to merge onto the highway, she thinks that the cop was going the same speed as her and not letting her over. And then he waved her on. And that the cop is like lying about what happened. So she decides she's going to fight this. She's going to fight this traffic citation. And it's going to just take everything out of her. Like she's going to risk her job. She's going to risk her friends, everything, because she is going to fight this traffic citation. And the reason that I'm kind of still processing it is because like, while I think that it is a very well made movie, the main character played by Molly Reisman is so grating, but at the same time, she's so real. Like, I feel like we all know someone like this person, or maybe some of us are this person, and they're just so awful to be around. But at the same time, it's also kind of very entertaining, and so that's why I'm like having a hard time with it, because I hated spending time with her, but at the same time, it was all just so very enthralling, and like it was very intentional. And so as of right now, yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a recommend. This is directed by Adrian Murphy. I don't think I mentioned that. Again, it's called Retrograde. This is another one that I think will get picked up by one of the kind of maybe smaller indie distributors, because I think that this does have some little bit of mainstream appeal to it as well.
Yeah. All right. Again, another one that does not have mainstream appeal, mostly because it's a 3D virtual reality film, and I don't think they're in the mainstream yet.
No, they're not.
This is called Monte Gelato. So what this is the Monte Gelato waterfalls in Rome have been used as a backdrop in like more than 180 film, TV, commercial type productions, right? So what the director here, David Rapp, did is he mapped all of those in a virtual reality. So directly in front of you is the waterfalls themselves, all right? And then the 360 of it is the landscape surrounding, if you were standing there in real life, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just cycles through like all of these. So it'll be, productions from the 50s, so it's in black and white, or productions from the 70s, from the 80s. It might be a sci-fi film, a period piece. It might be like a Spanish production, an Italian production. It just cycles through them, and wherever they took place, it's mapped out geographically within the virtual reality. So if it's directly in front of you, which the majority of them take place at the waterfall, so it's mostly in front of you, but it might be, directly to your right, so you have to pan over and then like the scene moves in, and it's just wild how he maps all of this out, and he keeps it all like overlaid, like as it's happening, and it's just really interesting to see like how it changes between each production and like throughout the years and stuff, and you can see like what they built and added to like like they built a little makeshift bridge over it for like this like western, and they have like massive castles in the backdrop that you can see there, like a painted background type thing. So it's just really interesting to pick one location in real life and then map out like the entire history of that location on film. It's just really wild to see.
Yeah, this sounds incredibly fascinating.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, this is really cool. I'm gonna have to check this out too. How is this available? Like, can you watch it in VR?
I don't know. Like, I watched it on YouTube, and it had like the 3D aspect.
Okay.
Where I could point and like drag it and move it around and everything.
So you probably So you probably can watch it. So if you have like the YouTube app in your Oculus headset, it'll automatically switch it over. So
yeah,
you should be able to watch it.
When you're wearing the headphones, it's awesome because you can tell where the sound's coming from.
This the spatial audio.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. The last one that I'll mention, the last one that I saw, unfortunately, I'm just gonna end this on a bit of a downer for me. It was The Severing, and this is just directed by Mark Pellington. The reason that I watched this is because the synopsis just says Pina meets Saul, and for me, I was like, okay, Pina meets Saul. I actually liked Pina, believe it or not. And I'm not like a huge dance movie person, but I did enjoy Pina, and obviously I like Saul. So I was just kind of intrigued as to see like, all right, well, how does this work? And unfortunately, it's like kind of what you would expect from an interpretive dance movie. It's like people just contorting and moving around, and it's like this kind of, the music is not very interesting. It's just this kind of like ambient droning, and it's like people who look sort of like zombies, like they're like super dirty, and like they look infected with something, and they're just moving around and dancing and writhing, and it's just not for me, plain and simple. Like, I think that some of the sets are really cool looking, and they do this thing where it's like almost like it looks like a GIF or a GIF, where it's like this kind of moving back and forth type of thing.
Yeah.
Which looks kind of cool, but yeah, at the same time, it feels incredibly pretentious. The title cards are kind of cool, but they also feel like ridiculously pretentious. Like, this movie takes itself way too seriously. And yeah, just not for me. Can't recommend it. Let's talk about what we have in theaters this week. Got a couple biggies. We got Death on the Nile coming out. I'm slightly.
Should I know what this is?
It's the Poirot one, the Hercule Poirot one, Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm it's the one with Gal Gadot. I'm interested.
Russell Brand.
It's interesting. All right. I mean, I don't know if I'm interested enough to like go see it in the theater, but yeah. I don't know if this is one of those ones that's going to be hitting HBO Max.
I think this is one of those things that was a good idea a while ago, and then things happened. And it's just really unfortunate. Because a lot of these people are just...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to come out like a long time ago.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. The way things playing out like that.
We also have Marry Me. This is the romantic comedy with Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's that's one. Also, Blacklight, which is an action one with Liam Neeson. Didn't he say like years ago that he was done doing the action movies, but then he just kept doing them?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say that you're going to do something else, and then those opportunities aren't there,
Right, yeah.
and then that check is sitting there.
He
It's
thought
like,
he would be able to like
what?
transition back into like dramas, but
Yeah,
that's not gonna at this point. Like, nah, dude.
no, this is what you're doing now.
Yeah. On VOD this week, let's see. On the 8th, we have Alone with You. That is a horror movie, I believe, with Barbara Crampton. As a young woman painstakingly prepares a romantic homecoming for her girlfriend, their apartment begins to feel more like a tomb when voices, shadows, and hallucinations reveal the truth.
Oh man,
Looks interesting. The Tiger Rising is coming out. This is starring Queen Latifah and Dennis Quaid.
interesting pairing.
Yeah, and it's adapted from a book. We got the Fabulous Filipino Brothers. We got this is about the dude who played Rufio in Hook.
Really?
Yeah, interesting.
Huh.
All right. And then on the 11th we have Worst to First. That is a documentary about New York's Z100 radio station. So,
Oh yeah.
what? Oh boy, talk about a niche. Come on, man. Like, really? We got Super Cool coming out. That is a comedy from the looks of it. Those Who Walk Away. Boo Boo Stewart stars in this thrilling horror film, which is all filmed in one shot.
Oh boy.
Also on the 11th, we have I Want You Back. That's going to be on Amazon Prime. That is a rom-com with Jenny Slate and Charlie Day. I'll probably give that a look. We got Catch the Fair One. And then I believe that is it. Yeah, that's all we got for VOD. On Blu-ray this week, we have let's see, Summer School from 1987. We got Foul Play from 1978. It looks like the Spider-Man trilogy, that's the Raimi one, is coming out in 4K in a little box set. La La Land is coming out in 4K. Don't Go in the House from 1980. That new Resident Evil movie, Welcome to Raccoon City, is coming out. I didn't mention that on the show because I think it was like over the holidays or something, but I did see that and it was pretty bad. It was really bad.
Oh no.
I mean, it was bad, but it was also kind of fun.
Okay. Hey, at least got that.
Yeah, I think it was kind of better than the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies that have. It definitely like was a more straight adaptation of the game.
Okay.
It was a closer adaptation, but it's still not good. Let's see, what else do we have here? There's a DC animated movie called Catwoman Hunted. It's coming out. King Richard from last year. That's the one with Will Smith. There's a limited edition version of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City that includes, it looks like it's some kind of box set that includes like posters, and it's interesting that they're doing that for that movie.
Yeah, that's an odd choice.
Surf Nazis Must Die from 1987 is coming out on Blu-ray. That's a Troma film.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that movie a couple times. It's pretty bad. Let's see. The Antichrist from 1974. Legend from 1985 is coming out on Arrow. That might be a re-release. We got Liar's Moon from 1982. That's going to be in the MVD Rewind collection. Let's see. What else? Looks like a lot of re-releases. It's pretty much it for notable releases. What about Criterion's?
Hold on. Because as soon as you were like winding that down, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. My thing's coming up. I need to look into this. All right, we got one. And that's Miller's Crossing. Joel Cohen, 1990, Miller's Crossing. Got
There
some
you
new
go.
conversations, new interviews, all sorts of stuff on there.
There we go. Miller's Crossing. Check it out.
Get it.
That one's pretty good. That one's worth a look.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely worth a look.
Gotta check it out.
Oh, good gangster movie there. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet, @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be great. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.